Let's ask two unlikely yet important questions. 1. Why would the Lakers want to sell Russell Westbrook when they just acquired him to their roster? And 2. Why would they be trading for Lillard that has made it abundantly clear that he's not interested in a move to the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, that's what we're here to explore. In the NBA, anything can happen. Even the things that everyone could have sworn was the most unlikely has often turned out to be possible. And a Russell Westbrook trade for Damian Lillard is one of those things that might seem impossible but eventually shock us all. To really understand how a move like this would even be possible, we need to understand the relationship both players have with the Lakers. Before we get into all that, if you want to win a PS5 with NBA 2K22 and Madden NFL 22 included, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. The initial deal for Russell Westbrook was reportedly orchestrated by LeBron James himself, and when Russell Westbrook was eventually acquired, it completely stole the headlines. Everyone was talking about the deal that had been in the works for days and included the trade of 3 players and a draft pick for the 9-time All-Star point guard. Everyone swore the deal would never happen, but when it did, everyone swore they saw it coming. Westbrook left the Wizards and they got Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and the number 22 overall pick. All of this begun when LeBron James and AD followed Westbrook's wife on Instagram, a move that showed that the lives of the 3 families was beginning to start getting more intertwined. You would be forgiven at the time if you read nothing into it, but what happened next confirmed the rumors. LeBron and AD sat down to dinner with Westbrook where they had lengthy conversations behind closed doors. Rumor has it that it included them putting aside their egos. They had conversations about positions and how James would move from small forward to power forward and Davis from power forward to center. Westbrook would later state that he told them that he didn't mind playing off the ball whenever LeBron initiates an offense, something that he had done when he played with the Beard in the Houston Rockets. It became clear eventually that they were all willing to work together to give themselves what they all mutually needed, a championship. For Westbrook, it would be about winning his first ring, and that was more than enough to bring the big man to the table. The deal would eventually be wrapped up after all 3 got their wishes, and both franchises agreed on a deal that would see Westbrook move from Washington to the City of Angels, thereby becoming the 7th former MVP to be acquired by the Lakers after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Steve Nash, Wilt Chamberlain, Bob McAdoo, and LeBron James himself. This was like a final chess move by the Lakers and LeBron in their move to get one more championship for their team and for the kind. The team was not just complete, it was a complete threat. Well, that's that with Westbrook on the Lakers end of things. What about Lillard? What is his relationship with the Lakers? Damian Lillard's tale with the Lakers has not been all that smooth. The point guard has said many times that he plans to stay with the Portland Trail Blazers, a team he's been with since the start of his senior playing career. However, this hasn't stopped the media from trying to link him somehow with a trade. There were hopes that he might reconsider his stance after a dismal loss to an undermanned Denver team in last year's playoff, had Big Game Dame being surprisingly blunt about things that needed changing if Portland was even going to be any contention. This is what he said at the time: "We didn't win a championship, so obviously where we are now isn't good enough. I don't know what a shakeup looks like or what changes will be made or could be made, but obviously as is, it wasn't good enough. Obviously where we are isn't good enough to win a championship, if it's not good enough to get out of a first-round series with 2 of their best 3 or 4 players not on the floor." Those who know Damian know that he is not for the drama, and for him to say that meant that things were really bad. And not surprisingly, the Blazers management began to feel the pressure from all sides, and they were eventually forced to let their longtime head coach, Terry Stotts, go. That was their biggest move. They didn't tamper with their roster, nor did they move any major trade, so the pressure didn't go away despite the sacrifice of their head coach. The franchise has become stagnant. Everyone had something to say about whether or not Lillard should stay in Portland. Actually, almost everyone wants him to leave, but even if Damian decides to dismiss everyone's opinion on the matter, will he ignore Shaquille O'Neal? Shaq recently said that he respects Lillard's loyalty to the franchise, because he has that same kind of old-fashioned mindset. This is what he said: "He's an old-school mentality guy that's playing in the new school. The old-school guy would say, 'I'm not teaming up with you, I'm gonna beat you.' But these new school guys would say, 'Hey, let's team up to make it easier.'" However, he also mentioned that if Lillard was serious about winning games and eventually a championship for himself, then he might have to leave the team that has gotten way too comfortable. I know he wants to stay in Portland and win it out, but he may have to switch up his mentality. If everybody else is doing it, then that's just going to keep him further from winning a championship. I don't really like guys teaming up, but it's just the way it is these days. If he can get to a team that already has 2 or 3 guys and you add him, that raises his chances of winning a championship. Whether you like it or not, Shaq is right, except Damian is okay with losing some and winning some. He might have to take a difficult decision and do what's best for him. He will have to leave and go to a team that is more serious about winning. Truth be told, superstar athletes of his caliber don't play for franchises like Portland. Adaptability has become the name of the game. Franchises have become more hungry to win, and it has almost become a do-or-die affair, up to the point where technology is being integrated into the gameplay. Is Damian serious about winning? Well, then he has to be hungry enough to adapt to the game. It has become clear that his skill set alone is not enough for winning games in a team that can't hold their own. So now the question presents itself. Let's assume Damian decided to leave the Portland Trail Blazers. Would the Blazers agree to trade to the Lakers for Westbrook? The answer comes as a question. Does Lillard have leverage? I mean, he's about to dive into the first season of a 4-year, $176.3 million Supermax extension. I see no reason on earth why the Blazers would even consider him leaving as an option. He's under contract through at least the 2023-24 season, with a $48.8 million player option for 2024-25, with 3 of those seasons being fully guaranteed, which means there is no obligation on Portland's part to trade their best player, and also no obligation to send him to a clear competitor that would profit off their own player. Okay, so Portland decides to be stubborn. What would be Lillard's response to turn up the heat on them? A player agent gave a suggestion that's so out of Damian's character. Portland has the leverage contractually for sure, but Dame could pull a James Harden and make it messy to gain leverage. A former Western Conference executive gave a different perspective. He's a star, and stars have a lot of power in the NBA. I think a trade would be agreed to mutually, but Portland will direct it. Similarly, back in 2019, when the New Orleans Pelicans were having a terrible final year with Anthony Davis after his midseason trade demand led nowhere until the offseason, ultimately landing him where he initially wanted on the Lakers roster for an insane sum of money. Conversely, Kobe Bryant played the villain when he infamously demanded a trade in 2007. The star eventually went back on his decision, but at the time, he was big enough for that kind of move to be made. Thankfully, that trade did not happen, and soon after the team acquired Paul Gasol. They went on to the NBA Finals 3 straight years while winning 2 titles in the process. Another case that resonates a lot more painfully was the Harden standoff, where the former MVP demanded that he wanted out of the Houston Rockets, and he got traded to the Brooklyn Nets in January even though he was under contract until the end of the 2021-22 season, plus a player option worth $47.4 million in 2022-23. He was certainly big enough to force the hand of a franchise. Even when several teams came around with offers, he made it clear who he wanted to play with, and they had to back down. A second player agent brought this argument to the table. Harden has a very different situation contractually. I assume Portland can or will trade Lillard wherever they want. If that's accurate, then Portland won't trade Lillard. His remaining deal is just 1 year longer than Harden's when Harden was traded. Injuries aside, the Nets will get nearly 2 full years of Harden, while a team that trades for Lillard will have him under contract for at least 3. With that said, the chances of a trade happening is very slim, if not impossible. Lillard won't play villain, and Portland won't cave. Personally, I don't think that Russell Westbrook can be traded for Damian Lillard, because there wouldn't be equal value on either sides. And if it just happens that Dame does get traded, then that would give them the needed jolt for the rebuild that the Portland Trail Blazers need. So if that's the case, why then would they want to rebuild with an aging player like Russell Westbrook, who, while I agree still averages a double-double, is already a veteran at the tail end of his career? It just won't happen. It's unrealistic, considering the amount of effort that LeBron James put into making this happen, considering how high the stakes are and how it might be one of the most devastating blows to the career of Westbrook, something he may never recover from. It seems like it holds the same chances as a fart in the wind. Comment below to let us know your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe for more. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss another one of our videos. We'll see you next time, latest Hoops fans. Until then, keep shooting your shot!